JB here, JB here. I hope everyone's doing outstanding. October 2024, 9 a.m. on this fine Thursday. Talk really quick about the market's earnings. Go from there. But S&P futures and market futures are all up. Small caps, NASDAQ. A little bounce here. We'll see how things play out. Overnight, Asian markets were kind of mixed. And then Europe markets this morning are in the green. Was yesterday the start of a bigger pull or just kind of the small reset button before the next leg to the upside? I remain cautious. I've kept first it was the VIX the previous couple of weeks staying over 20. Now it's the 10-year yield, which was over 4%, just continues to head higher, and we'll see how it plays out here today. But the higher it goes, I don't know. I just, even if it's just a small pullback, I mean, market's up what, 21% so far this year. So, and then you have 11 days to the election. The more I read, the more people try to rationalize why yields remain high in the 10-year, and now it's because the robust economy, right? But the economy has been strong for a while, right? So what's the difference now than, in the election? So whatever it is, I just, anytime the yields start to go up and we're in the midst of a rate cut cycle and we just started the rate cut cycle, you would think. But yeah, so take a look at a SPY at 578, got cut through at about 1 o'clock yesterday, all the way down, broke 575 for a second, about 2 o'clock, and then bounced for the rest of the day. So those will probably be the key spots. I keep looking at 578, and then if things get a little dicey again today, 575, got to watch that spot, because if that breaks, then it almost looks like 565 might come. And again, in the context of everything that's gone on this year, I mean, we were down at 510 on the SPY back in August with Japan. So that's that. So that's the market. It's almost like Monday and Tuesday, the market was chopping around, waiting for somebody to jump first, right? You go first. No, you go first. And then someone started to sell. Then it just became this thing where nothing really changed between Tuesday and Wednesday. It just seemed like the market picked the direction and just went. And then the yield. So I'll post this chart. I keep posting it. I mean, you take a look, middle, right in the middle of September, we hit lows, and then it's been up and to the right ever since. So hopefully that changes in the coming days. And then last but not least, small caps down 5 sessions in a row, down to 217.50. It's hit the lower the 50-day moving average 217 on IWM. So it held that. I guess you could take that with a grain of salt. And also it performed with the market. Sometimes when we have these market pullbacks, you'll see the NASDAQ and the S&P down 1%, and small caps will be down like 3%. So to see it only down 0.9%, similar amount that the S&P was down yesterday, take the silver lining, right? So that's that. All right, so just individual names, and I'll try and do a better rant on Tzu. It's a very small company, right? It's $160 million market cap, so very small market cap, does $80 million in revenues. But one of the reasons when you see me trade some of these small caps, because I think that it's a lot easier to get edge on small caps, right? Because there's not as many people, there's not as much analyst coverage, there's not as much people pouring over financials, insider information, things like that. So you're able to find something before everybody else does, right? I mean, that's kind of some of the reason when you see me trade some of these small cap names that don't have as much coverage. That's some of it, right? When you go to Apple, there's every analyst covers them. So to me, to get a surprise and be able to get an edge on a name that has so much coverage, you either have to go against the trend or you have to find something, right? Well, long term. So when I look at Travelzoo, and I posted in the chat room yesterday, I mean, it went from 15 million, and they had an offering because someone, I think, is selling shares. So they had to do a block offering a couple of years ago, and then they've went and done share buybacks. So they've reduced their outstanding share count from 15 million in 2023 to 13.2 million this last quarter, and they just bought another 500,000 shares off the market last quarter, and then the board authorized another 1 million shares to be bought back. And considering what they did last quarter, you have to think it's probably going to be some kind of, it's going to be in quick nature. It's going to be another 500,000 or what have you this coming quarter. It's not the most liquid name. So you take a look. I mean, it traded 500,000 shares yesterday, which it's most it's had in over a year or close to it. So when the company's buying 1 million shares and it typically trades, I have to go back and look, is it like 100,000 shares? Not even much. I mean, that's a substantial amount. So not only that, they're profitable, they have free cash flow, they continue to deploy that free cash to return value to shareholders, and then they have a possible catalyst starting next year. They've been talking about it for a while. They have a freemium model. They have 30 million folks. they send out promotions emails, they have partnerships. Now they're going to start, and it's called the metaverse. It's called Meta. If you go to the website, I posted a link. It's pretty interesting. They're going to offer an NFT for founding members, but it's going to be a membership service, and I think it's like $40, which they're going to allocate their revenues $10 each quarter. So they have 30 million members. If they're able to capture, you know, uh, I wouldn't say 10%, maybe if they get 10%, but if they, let's say they get 10%, so they get 3 million people and they charge them 40 bucks, that's a decent amount of revenue, right? It's more revenue. They only do $80 million in revenues, right? So if they get 1 million at 40 bucks, that's 40 million in yearly recurring. That's half the revenues they're doing now. So you're telling me that they might have a possibility of having 50% revenue growth next year just by capturing, well, 1 million of their 30 million freemium users. It's a possibility. And if it's more, so that's some of the things I'm looking at. And I was looking at I have to go look at some of the financials, some of the other, some of the business model and what have you, because they have big exposure in Europe. The US declined a little bit this past quarter, but they talked about in their earnings, it's going to be substantial revenue growth next year. So you take a look at the company. It's not like it's going to cost, I mean, unless they have a marketing spend that's more than what they're doing now. It's pretty much just additional revenue that's just there, and they're going to go take it. So I think I was using the analogy yesterday with Wix.com, and I used to love, I mean, I still do love Wix.com. Wix.com, similar thing. They would get free people to sign up, and then they would get you into the freemium model where they would convert that cohort into paying members, right? And then once they got the paying members on Wix, you have your website and your platform, and you can't just take that website and port it to another server or provider, because it's Wix's proprietary programming, right? So you can't, the website won't work on someone else's platform. Anyway, rants for other days. So you can understand why I added those November strikes finally. Back in, I traded a while ago, and I might look to get some Januaries or even later dated 2025, just to take advantage of a possible tailwind with this Meta rollout. All right, so that's Tizu. SE, if it breaks, and I mean, it's gapping over 100 here in the pre-market. If it breaks and holds 101 in the morning, I'll look for some November strikes. Really like that one for upside. I mean, it's like a broken record. Excuse me, but if you take a look at the chart, the tight Bollinger Band is just setting up. It's setting up, and it's getting tighter and tighter. Let's see, do I have it here? Yeah. I mean, the longer this goes on, probably the bigger the move. So I think 110, 115 once it starts to break out. Las Vegas Sand reported earnings after close yesterday. Was somewhat a mixed bag, like a miss, but then they announced a $2 billion stock buyback authorization. And it's almost like a relief quarter. And you see Wynn is trading up on the news. And I think it just bodes well. I think now it means that even if Wynn reports an inline quarter, the stock's probably going to rally. If they report some surprise, it's going to go bonkers. So if Wynn gets over $100, similar to SC, if it breaks and holds 100, I'll look for more strikes there and Wynn to go along with my November 115s, which, I'm not one to average out, so I'll either get lower strikes or I'll get further out. VKTX had earnings after the close yesterday, somewhat of a non-event. The CEO pretty much said that they're not going to be able to give out data till obesity week, so that we kind of knew that was coming. So, not going to sit there and might try and take advantage of if there's premium coming out of the calls today. If I do, I'll probably look for November 15th. And if they're still somewhat pricey, I might just get a couple just into that event, because I think it's going to be positive data. And one of these data points are going to push it back over $100. And then on the flip side here, with the market selling off, and I always do this, I always be hedging, right? You don't want to be in a spot where you get caught with your pants down in all call positions. I have supports on the SPY. Once those start to break, that's when I look to get hedge positions. 578 broke on the SPY. I added some more hedge puts to go with my MDB puts. It is gapping here with ServiceNow's results and IBM and Lam Research. That whole sector as a whole, the tech sector, is just getting a bid. But if we do have a reversal here today, I think 165 is the target. So I'll be quick. I don't even know if I'll be quick to close at the open on a big move to the upside, but I'll be patient. Same with MDB. Back-to-back red sessions under its 50-day moving average. If it stays here and breaks back under 260, I think it gets under 250 into tomorrow. So those are kind of the hedge positions I'm looking at. And then the one I don't really want to talk about here is Roku, down another 4% yesterday. A complete dumpster fire since the start of the week. Couldn't break that 80 handle, and here it is back at multi-week lows. If there's silver lining, premiums are less expensive into earnings next week. So put on a watch list. The plan would be to add some strikes in the next week with the hope that it gets a bounce. On the 50 days right there at 71.52. So maybe I'll wait a little bit before the open. and then possibly look for some premium build into earnings, and then be able to lock some or all in. If I can get it for 100%, I'll lock them all in, and I'll lock some in and cover costs and ride the rest. If I can't, I'll probably lock them all in. I'm trying to think of some other names here. Align reported earnings after it's such a volatile name, all the way down to 185, then back up to 215. That could be like a decent bounce play. I mean, I think I tried to do it last quarter and it came close. I'll probably pass on that, but definitely one to watch. United Rentals, right? I mean, I've talked about URI for a while, and it's a name I've wanted to get in with this backdrop of infrastructure and things like that. They kind of reported a mixed bag, but it's like a name that looks like it might bounce, and it actually all the way down to 800 yesterday, and now it's bouncing here, so maybe I won't play that one, but that's an interesting name. Um, yeah, I think that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.